In communities where elders remain active into their 80s, mobility depends less on expensive equipment and more on the exact mechanics of a single footstep. These populations maintain their health through a specific 15-minute morning routine, remaining active and independent by focusing on three qualities: circulation, alignment, and joint activation. This focus is necessary because your legs are the biological foundation for independent living. They allow you to stand, to safely climb stairs, or catch yourself during a stumble. Standard advice for seniors often begins and ends with the instruction to just go walk, yet this rarely explains the internal mechanics that actually preserve the tissue. Preserving leg strength as you age requires a shift in perspective, moving your focus away from the distance you cover. The danger lies in the unconscious shuffle, the habit of taking small, disengaged steps that often develops as we get older and more cautious. By deliberately shifting your mental attention to the mechanics of your stride, you alter the physical outcome of every step you take. Bringing this level of intention to your daily movement builds a physical foundation for long-term autonomy. Over time, the human heart loses some of the pressure required to efficiently pull blood all the way up from the feet against the constant pull of gravity. When that pressure fails, blood pools in the lower legs, which can lead to swelling and chronic vascular concerns. To counter this, the body utilizes a secondary mechanism, the calf muscles, often referred to as the second heart. Your lower leg veins rely on one-way valves that require external pressure. A forceful calf contraction squeezes these veins, pushing blood up through the valves. As the muscle relaxes, the valves immediately snap shut, locking blood in place against gravity. Passive walking or prolonged sitting leaves this internal pump dormant. Only a deliberate, fully engaged muscular contraction can reliably drive your circulation as you age. The primary intervention used in these Japanese communities is the mindful movement walk, a 10-minute practice where the brain actively directs the lower body. You begin by overriding the shuffle, consciously initiating a full heel-to-toe rolling motion with every step. At the end of the stride, you must feel the calf muscle fully contract as your toes push off the ground, maximizing the pressure on your veins. Your upper body supports this rhythm. Allow your arms to swing naturally, opposite arm to opposite leg, to maintain balance. If your mind begins to wander, use deep, natural breaths as a cue to return your attention to the sensation of your feet and the engagement of your legs. Combining these physical and mental cues converts walking from a passive habit into a highly active practice that supports your circulatory health. This is a precise circulatory and neurological practice rather than an aerobic workout. The most frequent error is walking too quickly. Speed forces the brain to abandon mindful engagement and revert to an unconscious autopilot. Overconcentration can also be an issue. Tensing or gripping your leg muscles unnecessarily will actually restrict the blood flow you are trying to enhance. You must also avoid shortening your stride. Unless you have an immediate balance concern, consciously maintain a full, natural stride to engage the entire muscle group. The physiological benefits of the muscle pump are only achieved when the movement is slow, relaxed, and performed with deliberate attention. To maintain this awareness, the walk should be tied to a specific, non-negotiable time every morning. By directing your mental attention to the mechanics of your stride, you activate the muscle pump that drives blood against gravity. This daily practice supports the circulation, mobility, and independence required for vital longevity. Hip fractures following a fall frequently trigger a cascade of secondary medical complications that end independent living entirely. Your balance acts exactly like a muscle. If you do not actively maintain it, it weakens, but it responds to training rapidly, often within just a few weeks of consistent 3-minute daily practice. Pause the video now to secure your environment. You need a flat, non-slip floor and a sturdy support, like a wall or countertop. For footwear, practice in bare feet or thin, flat shoes. Thick, cushioned athletic shoes block the ground feel your feet need to balance correctly. As you step into position, Remember that the goal is to induce a slight, manageable wobble. Catching and correcting that wobble is the training stimulus. Pushing yourself until you fall defeats the entire purpose of the routine. Your body relies on proprioception, an internal, non-visual radar tracking your joints. As you age, this decays, particularly in the ankles. To compensate, older adults adopt a wide, cautious stance, relying heavily on vision, a dangerous liability in dim light. A wide stance underuses stabilizing muscles along the inner leg. Conversely, a narrow gait forces those exact stabilizers to fire constantly. By forcing a narrow stance, we demand real engagement from the exact muscles a cautious gait ignores. Narrowing your walking gait provides a targeted system override. You are manually rebuilding your body's unconscious proprioceptive reflexes. Step up to the starting point of your designated pathway. Position yourself so your wall or counter runs alongside your entire walking path, not just at your starting line. Keep your hand hovering near the surface, ready to grab it if you lose your balance. Stand up straight with your feet close together and extend one foot forward. Place your front heel directly in front of the toes of your back foot, creating a single straight line. Shift your weight forward. Bring your back foot into the same precise position, repeating this strict pattern for slow, continuous steps. You should feel a slight, manageable wobble as you move. Notice the muscles in your ankles firing rapidly to maintain your center of gravity. Many reflexively look down at their feet. This shifts the balance burden back to the visual system, bypassing the proprioception we are training. Keep your gaze forward to force your body to rely on its internal sense of position. Executing perfect foot placement yields little benefit if the gaze drops. Maintaining a straight, forward gaze drives neurological recovery in this exercise. Eventually, you will run out of space and need to turn around. This is the most balance-demanding moment of the entire routine. Rotating your entire mass over such a narrow base of support significantly increases the risk of a fall. Plant your hand firmly on your wall support during the turn. Take slow, deliberate micro-steps to rotate 180 degrees before resetting your heel-to-toe stance. This exercise must be scaled to meet your actual current ability to ensure your safety. If a strict heel-to-toe walk feels too challenging, scale down, widen your stance slightly, and hold the wall with both hands. If it feels easy, scale up. Hover your hand without touching the wall, or try steps with closed eyes. Correct calibration ensures your nervous system receives a constant, effective training stimulus without crossing the threshold into physical danger. Continue your back and forth walking pattern using safe turns until your full 3-minute block is complete. The fatigue you feel in the soles of your feet and deep in your ankles is concrete proof your proprioceptive system is finally waking up. This sequence should become a non-negotiable daily habit. Because balance is governed by your nervous system, it adapts remarkably fast when stimulated every single day. Preserving true independence in later years requires actively conditioning the body's internal alarm systems to walk through the world with confidence. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. 1. The morning danger zone. 2. The cartilage mechanism. 3. The 2-minute bridge. 4. Safe standing. 5. The 15-minute blueprint. And 6. Habit stacking. Section 1. The morning danger zone, or waking up stiff. To really understand this danger zone, we kind of have to ask a basic question. Why do our joints actually stiffen overnight in the first place? You go to sleep feeling totally fine, and 8 hours later, you wake up barely able to bend your knees. What's actually going on in your body during those extended periods of stillness? The biological answer is actually fascinating. Our muscles have a direct blood supply, meaning they are constantly getting nourished with oxygen and nutrients. But your cartilage, it entirely lacks the direct supply. It acts basically like a sponge. It relies completely on mechanical movement and gentle compression to circulate joint fluid. And that fluid is what actually delivers nutrients and flushes out waste. So when you're sleeping, that sponge just sits there totally still for hours. It dries out, essentially. If you stand up abruptly first thing in the morning, you're asking those unlubricated, stiff joints and inactive muscles to suddenly support your full body weight without any prep whatsoever. Section 2, the cartilage mechanism nourishing the joints. So the absolutely crucial point is this equation right here. Consistency is greater than intensity. Because of how your cartilage acts like a sponge, frequent, gentle circulation is vastly more effective for your joint health than leaving long gaps of stillness punctuated by some intense workout. Think about it. An intense weekly stretching session doesn't really help your cartilage on a random Tuesday morning. 2 minutes of deliberate, gentle movement every single day is a much more powerful counter to that natural stiffening process. Section 3. The 2-minute bridge, the seated leg awakening. Here is the exact sequence, and it's such a logical progression while you are still safely supported by your mattress. Step 1 is ankle circles, 10 times each way, creating nice full rotations. Step 2, knee extensions, 8 to 10 times, gently activating those large quadriceps muscles on the front of your thighs, which you absolutely need to stand up. Step 3 is seated marching for 20 to 30 seconds to bring your hips to life. Step 4, toe and heel raises to fire up your calves and shins, literally pumping the blood upward. And finally, Step 5, a gentle full-body overhead stretch with some deep breaths. In just 2 minutes, you've mobilized your ankles, knees, and hips, bringing that essential sponge-squeezing circulation right to your cartilage. Section 4, safe standing, avoiding the morning dizzy spell. Now, if you've ever felt that sudden dizzy rush when standing up, it actually has a scientific name, orthostatic hypotension. This is a sudden drop in blood pressure when you change elevation too fast. Surprisingly, a massive percentage of falls in older adults happen precisely at this moment, first thing in the morning, purely because the cardiovascular system hasn't caught up to this sudden demand. But the actionable solution is remarkably simple. It's called the half-standing pause. Instead of popping up straight like a piece of toast out of a toaster, you transition slowly. You just briefly pause in a half-standing position with your weight on your feet, but not fully upright. It costs you maybe 2 seconds, but it gives your cardiovascular system that exact moment it needs to adjust your blood pressure, which drastically reduces your risk of a morning fall. Section 5. The 15-minute blueprint, crossing the bridge. Let's see how this all builds across a simple timeline. Minutes 0 to 2 are your seated leg awakening, getting those joints lubricated. Minutes 2 to 5 involve a steel-to-toe stability walk. And finally, minutes 5 to 15 are dedicated to a mindful movement walk. The architecture here is brilliant. You address joints and muscles first, balance second, and sustain circulation third. It perfectly mirrors how a human body safely transitions from total rest to full activity. To quickly contrast those last two phases, let's break them down. Your 3-minute stability walk is all about balance. You walk a narrow line with a wall or maybe a handrail nearby for support. The final 10-minute mindful movement walk then shifts the focus entirely to circulation and body awareness. You're walking at a totally unhurried pace, paying close attention to your foot placement, your arm swing, and your breathing. Section 6. Habit stacking, building lifelong consistency. So how do we actually make this stick? Here are some highly practical ways to guarantee your success. First, habit stack. If your current trigger is waking up and your first action is reaching for your phone, swap the phone for the 2-minute seated sequence. Just tie the new habit to the existing trigger. Second, keep a physical reminder card right on your nightstand so you don't even have to think about it. Third, and this is important, give yourself grace. If you only remember 3 out of the 5 seated movements, that is still a massive win for your cartilage. And finally, build up to the full 15-minute routine gradually over a few weeks. Don't try to do the whole shebang tomorrow if it feels overwhelming. Just start with the 2 minutes on the bed. I want to leave you with this powerful closing philosophy from the source material. The routine you'll actually do a year from now is the smallest version you can sustain on your most tired morning. I mean, that is so freeing. Lifelong consistency isn't about what you do on your best, most highly motivated days. It's about having a routine that survives your absolute worst, most rushed mornings. If all you get done is that 2-minute seated awakening, you have succeeded. So here's my challenge to you to close out this explicator. What is the absolutely smallest step you can take tomorrow morning to build your bridge to better mobility? Take a few seconds right now to mentally rehearse it. Picture yourself sitting on the edge of the bed tomorrow, doing those ankle circles. Mental rehearsal makes doing the physical action tomorrow infinitely easier. Thank you so much for joining me to break this down. And here's to moving better, feeling safer, and building habits that truly last a lifetime.